any of the stuff that we talked about. This is totally.
We purposely did not put this on the agenda for tonight.
Right, yeah. Well, it's not ready.
No.
The draft is good. Well, you know, the restrictions and source non-compliant residents that go located on streets where neighborhoods without curbs.
I know houses that have curbs that don't have driveways.
And it doesn't apply to anything that's an acre or larger. So we do have some exemptions.
Yeah, I just read those, but you know, I just find this whole thing ridiculous.
Sounds like I'm going to be.
Call the order to council to order. Will you all please join me in the pledge and remain standing for the invocation to be given by Councilman Darren Brock.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Heavenly Father, Lord, we come to you tonight to thank you for loving us, Lord. Thanking you for loving us as sinners and for doing all that you do to reach out to us, Lord. We just ask tonight that you give us wisdom, that you be with everyone here that is looking to seek decisions for the city, to keep the best for all in mind, Lord, and just for your will to be done tonight. We just ask for your wisdom in Jesus' name. Amen.
Roll call, please.
Linda Shimko.
Here.
Jerry Foley.
Here.
Eric Shine.
Here.
Darren Brock.
Here.
Keith Williams.
Here.
Kendall Stuckey.
Here.
Marty Latham.
Here.
Paula Allred. Here. We do have a quorum.
Next item is the consent agenda, which contains the City Council minutes from the March 3rd meeting and the financial statement for February 2009. Any comments? If not, I'll entertain a motion to approve the consent agenda.
So moved. Second.
Roll call, please.
Darren Brock.
Yes.
Paula Allred. Jerry Foley.
Yes.
Kendall Stuckey.
Yes.
Linda Shimko.
Yes.
Marty Latham.
Yes.
Eric Shine.
Yes.
Keith Williams.
Yes.
Next item on the agenda is a public forum. Thomas Ubben, is that the way you pronounce that? Ubben. Yeah. Step over here, please. Give us your name and address.
Name is Thomas, is the first name, last name is Ubben. Address is 806 Grandy Place, Lowell, Arkansas, of course, 72745. Is that it? Mm-hmm. I'm here for one issue. I prayed and I thought about what I wanted to say tonight, and so simple is that I want to title the subject Racial Profiling in the City of Lowell by Police Officers. And so January 2nd, 1:55 a.m., I got pulled over by an officer. He said apparently I ran through a stop sign. So that's the question I asked. But before that was done, before anything came in, it said, "Nigger, you know you went through a stop sign." I said, "Excuse me?" He didn't repeat the same thing again. And so, of course, he gave me a ticket for running through a stop sign. I asked if I could speak to his boss that night, and he said, "I'm the boss tonight." So he could have been the only person working that night or not. I don't know that answer. And so I debated and prayed and thought about it, just like, you just prayed 5 minutes ago about wisdom and knowledge. So, I asked for wisdom and knowledge. And so So what I did was, the first thing I did, of course, a lot of thoughts went through my mind, and of course, your emotions play a key role in that matter. Everything went through. And so, for about 3 weeks, I debated if I wanted to really push this matter or not. And so, of course, I got a bunch of friends that work for the media, so it would be pretty easy to go up there and get that involved. But I wasn't going for justice, because what is done is done. There's nothing that you can say or do that's going to change anything. So I I called the chief of police, and I talked to him, and he basically said, hey, look, the officer's not working today, but when he gets back, I'll get back with you. And so he was prompt, got back with me the next day, and said, hey, there's nothing we can really do, because this is his word against mine. And so I said, well, that doesn't change the fact of what is done. And so he said, if you don't feel like this is the justice for you, you can go and take appropriate action. So I debated, and I went in and came in a week later and went to the mayor's office that morning and said, hey, I just needed 5 minutes of the mayor's time. So the receptionist was wonderful and said, hey, look, let me go visit with him and see if he's got 5 minutes. So I talked to him, and he said he'll get back with me. So I waited 2 weeks before I did anything about it. So I was waiting for him to respond back to me. And of course, within that 2 weeks, we had the ice storm went through, and so it was pretty busy with the FEMA, and so I waited another week. Went back in, talked to him. He said he didn't do anything about it because he was still dealing with the ice storms. And then, and so that morning, well, it's been about 3 weeks since the moment I talked to the mayor, and so 3 weeks, there should be plenty of time. Went and visited with them, and he said I didn't do anything about it yet. So I said, well, I'm not leaving your office until we talk to the chief of police. So he called the chief of police and talked to him, and for about 45 seconds. And sat back down with me, and he said he didn't want to do anything about this issue, and that this is not a racial issue. Then I said, how is it not a racial issue? And so they said, they're closing this matter because I guess they did an internal investigation, and that's where it ended at. And so my next line of defense, so far, I've done everything that I can physically and, with my ability by talking to chief of police. So first line of defense. Second line of defense went to the mayor. The mayor didn't do anything about it. So this is my third line of defense, and so I called Keith Williams and said, hey, Keith, I know that city council meets. Can you tell me what day and what time? And so and I explained to him what happened, and he said, well, why don't you just come on up and talk to us about it? So here I am. So, I could have done pretty much everything. If I was after something, I could have gone to the media, like I said. Got a bunch of people working there. I could have gone to newspaper and did a bunch of stuff about it, but I didn't. Because it's not about, what is said is done. There's nothing you can do about it. First of all, I'm not black, I'm brown. So that word nigger shouldn't even have been applied to me. And so my concern is that what's the next person that is black? What if that person got pulled over? And what if, he had a gun on him? This has been an ongoing battle between between them and the police officer. And so, and I asked a couple of things. Simple thing was before I said, hey, look, I own a small business here right here in Lowell, which is half a mile from here. I live in Lowell, all right? And so, and if one of my guys, I got 2 guys working for me, if one of my guys made a mistake at a customer's office or their house, because I own an IT business, regardless of what my guys did, right or wrong, I would still have to apologize in whatever fashion, form, for that client, to make them happy. So I asked 2 simple things: is just a letter of apology, one, and second is that what are we going to do about this in the event that this happens again? And they still haven't contacted me. They still haven't given me any type of results. And so 2 weeks ago, I actually handwritten a note and sent it to the chief of police saying, hey, I would like to have the copy of the internal investigation that was done. And I still don't have anything on it. And so I'm taking I'm leaving out of town tomorrow, but yet I'm still here talking on this matter. So that's basically what I've got to say.
You have anything else?
No, I don't.
Thank you.
Okay.
Kendall Ubben.
That's him. Oh, that was.
Should be another one. Yeah, he was open. Yeah, but there's another name on there.
Let me ask you a question. If I don't live in Lowell, am I allowed to speak?
Certainly.
Okay. Kenneth Ubben, MD, 2 Deerhurst Lane, Bella Vista, Arkansas. And I'm Tom's dad, and I just came down to let you know that I believe my son, when I moved here 17 years ago from Minnesota, I brought 6 children with me. 4 of them are darker than me, and 2 of them are lighter than me. And one of my biggest concerns is there prejudice in the South? And I'm happy to say that after 17 years, we've had very little. There's been a little bit of a problem at Shiloh one time with one teacher. I think my kids have been picked up a little more than I would have been, but basically pretty minor stuff. So it shocked and dismayed me that the first time it would happen, Tom was 9 when we moved here, is that when he's 26 years old in the community that he lives and has a business and is a leader in his church here in Lowell, that he would have to suffer something like this. So it shocked me. And I'm here basically to say, we're not here to get anything. We're here to just educate and inform. If this is going on, it needs to be taken care of. If it's one person, that one person needs to be educated and maybe moved to a different position. If it's more than one person, then Lowell's got a problem. And that's basically for you all to figure out, I guess. But I'm not in law enforcement. I was a guard in a prison once, but that's as close as I got to that. And I know law enforcement's a tough job, and I don't envy anybody doing it, but it's a profession. I am a physician, and I have a profession, and I can say when I walk into the room, I am able to block out any prejudice, hopefully, that I have and take care of that patient. I got to figuring up this afternoon that I've seen enough patients in my career so far to fill Razorback Stadium 2.5 times, and it varies from lepers in India, where I've been privileged to go and blessed to go, to Helen Walton in her home. And it doesn't make any difference who they are, I treat them the same. And I think the law, the police profession needs to have the same ideals. And so my plea is just check it out, see what happened. And then I'd like to appeal to your logic, because obviously you have 2 stories. You have Tom's story, and apparently you have another story. Tom's a busy guy. He's flying out tomorrow, barely had time to do my office computers today. He didn't make this up. He doesn't have any reason to. But the other person does have a reason to deny it, because if he did it, his character is really in question. And he's not going to have a sudden infusion of character to admit to it at this point. So I think it just needs to be checked out and make sure it's not a very deep problem here in Lowell. Thanks.
Thank you.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes.
can I ask Tom a question on this?
Yes.
Tom, what can be done? I mean, I guess this is a horrible thing. What needs to happen?
Well, Keith and Mayor and Council, I'm making some assumptions. One is that, as Thomas reported, that an investigation was done. Chief isn't here, so I don't know that that's happened or not. If it has happened, and if it's closed, that is, if the investigation's closed, one thing to be done is, if he requests that, I can't think of a reason right now that you're not entitled to it unless it's an open investigation where discipline is an issue. So we need to make sure that you get that. Yes, sir.
As far as I know, it's been closed, and that's over to the city mayor here. That happened about a couple of weeks ago when I went and visited with them.
So those I'm just making some assumptions. So again, that's an assumption as well, so I have to see that. There are, every time we have as you all know from experience, every time we have a personnel file request from the FOI, we're very careful about making sure we notify the subject of the request, if in fact that's appropriate, and making sure that we don't release records that would otherwise invade privacy. But off the cuff right now, without seeing the material, I don't know why this one would, but perhaps it does. If it does not, you need to be given the record that you requested. It's that simple. Secondly, Keith, there's a racial profiling state law and ordinance.
just with regard to the charges, were you given a ticket?
Yes, I was given a ticket and also put handcuffs on because I told him that I want to speak to his boss and that I refused to sign the ticket.
Did you go, then you were booked that night, or no?
No, I spent an hour in his car
Oh,
and
sorry.
he lectured me on how why I need to sign that ticket.
Okay. What's the disposition of the ticket?
What's that?
The disposition of the ticket. What is that?
Possession of the ticket.
What's happened with the ticket?
Well, I went in court and talked to him, and I guess on the April 28th, I can go in front of a judge and tell my side of the story of the ticket. But there's nothing, I really haven't talked to the judge on it in terms of, this racial issue at all. It's all been kept in the family, and then other than the chief of police and the mayor, you guys are third to know about it.
Those, Keith, are separate things, the disposition of the ticket and the disposition of this complaint. But the complaint, if the chief in fact conducted an investigation, he did that in accordance with state law and the local ordinance that we adopted in accordance with the state law. He is to conduct that investigation. Beyond that, if he's made a finding, which I'm assuming he has based on what you've said, sir, then based on the very passionate presentation here tonight, that doesn't indicate changing of the finding, but it certainly might indicate, as Dr. Ubben recommended, an examination of everything we do in that regard, the way we apply our services, especially police, which are some of the most awesome powers the city has, because that's always a good idea. It's always a good idea to examine that, to not be complacent, to not make assumptions that everything is going all right. And so you can, just as a council member, as a citizen, call the mayor and the chief and urge that. I wouldn't be surprised if the mayor hasn't already urged that of the chief. And if it hasn't already been done, I bet you that an examination of that kind is going to be done pretty shortly, just to make sure that we're trained up on that ordinance and that people who end up being police officers who perhaps have such tendencies, or perhaps shouldn't be, we're aware of that and can take action when it's appropriate. May I have the name of the officer?
I have no idea. Badge number is 116.
What was the date again?
January 2nd, 1:55 a.m.
January 2nd.
2nd, 1:55 a.m.
Okay.
Next item on the agenda is old business. Paula, Tom distributed a draft of an ordinance on the parking. Do you want to talk about that now, or?
Actually, Mayor, I just received it today
Yeah.
and really haven't had a chance to review
Okay.
it, so it is still in process. We're hoping to have finalized and get that distributed before our next meeting so that we've got time to look at that.
Do we want to set a meeting tonight? Do we want to set a meeting to meet on this, or?
You mean a work session?
Yes.
Do you want a work session?
Or do you want to wait another?
I would prefer to distribute what we have once we
Okay.
finalize it, have everyone look at it, and then see whether we have agreement based on what we've come up with. Does that seem reasonable? I mean, for people to look at it, read it, get a chance to look at it, and then if they're still indecision as to if we want to make changes, then at that point, send a work session.
I'm sure there's going to be changes, but that's fine. Well, at the next council meeting, basically.
That's, since we've not
Okay.
had a chance to review it, I think that makes
Okay.
the most sense.
Okay. Next item, new business, a resolution adopting an addition to the City of Lowell Personnel Handbook and Procedures Manual regarding the use of email and the internet. We have had no problems in this area we wanted to place this in the personnel file so all employees would know that any information sent or received on these computers is recorded in a matter of public information. It's just I guess, a courtesy and a precautionary measure. That's what it amounts to. Anybody have any questions? If not, I'll entertain a motion to approve the resolution.
So moved.
Second.
Roll call, please.
Kendall Stuckey,
Yes.
Paula Allred, Jerry Foley,
Yes.
Eric Shine,
Yes.
Linda Shimko,
Yes.
Keith Williams,
Yes.
Marty Latham,
Yes.
Darren Brock.
Yes.
This will be resolution number 09-05.
Next item is an ordinance to designate the mayor or his appointed representative as the designated official for the Lowell stormwater pollution prevention, grading, and erosion control. I think what this is, the old resolution had the fire chief in it. It got in there some way, and at the time we didn't change it, but it's felt that that needs to be changed in that ordinance. So that's all it is. We're not changing the ordinance, just the name. Any questions?
Mr. Mayor, who typically is designated to do that, other than yourself, I guess?
Jimi Hendrix.
Jimmy is, okay.
You have to have a license in order to do that, or,
You have to have training in it,
and he's got that?
yes.
Okay.
In fact, not only he has it, but this drainage situation is getting pretty tough, and we've sent Don and Donnie to some schools too to help watch out for it.
Great.
Any other questions? If not, I'll entertain a motion to suspend the rules, place on third and final reading by title only.
So moved.
Roll call, please.
Marty Latham, Darren Brock,
Yes.
Jerry Foley,
Yes.
Paula Allred, Keith Williams,
Yes.
Kendall Stuckey,
Yes.
Eric Shine,
Yes.
Linda Shimko.
Yes.
An ordinance to designate the mayor or his appointed representative as the designated official for the Lowell stormwater pollution prevention, grading, and erosion control. I'll entertain a motion to approve the ordinance.
Second.
Roll call, please.
Darren Brock,
Yes.
Paula Allred, Eric Shine,
Yes.
Kendall Stuckey,
Yes.
Jerry Foley,
Yes.
Marty Latham,
Yes.
Keith Williams,
Yes.
Linda Shimko.
Yes.
This will be ordinance number 854.
Next item on the agenda is a memo to allocate funds to the administration budget to purchase the new version of the fund accounting system. Mary will be more than happy to answer any questions you all might have.
I have a question. How old is the present system that we have?
Mary can answer that.
We bought that in, I believe it was 2006. And they have rewritten the whole system. And within a few years, they're going to stop servicing the one we have now. So we thought we might as well get in while they're first setting it up and go with it, because we'll have to do it later on if we don't do it now. It's not a big price at $45.75, because those systems, some of them cost like $50,000 and $100,000, somewhere like that, these fund accounting, so this is rather inexpensive for us. Yeah, this is going to be under a whole new I don't know the word exactly, but driver or something. Eric knows what that means, but something like they're using a whole new system behind it, where it's gonna, different modules will communicate with each other in a better way than it does now. So, should be, make it easier and less confusing.
It's the same company, though, as the one that we bought in 2006?
Yeah, it's the same company and everything. Everything will still look the same to you guys on your reports. I mean, it won't change for that, but it will do some internal things that's better.
Does this come with yearly updates, or do
Yeah.
you have to
Well, we have,
purchase those every year?
we get all the updates, yeah, and every year annually, we have to pay so much money for them to help us whenever we need the help, and also the updates, so. We always budget that into our annual budgeting.
So will you have to go through all that you did?
No, they're gonna do it all electronically. That's in.
An upgrade then,
It's an upgrade. They're going to take what we have and they're going to put it through and as computer, they're going to do it back up in Michigan where this program is built. So they can get into our system now and they can make changes. And so what they're going to do is they're going to take all of our information and put it over into the new upgraded system.
so this won't be as difficult as it was in 2006?
Oh, no, hopefully not. That was pretty bad sometimes.
Any other questions? If not, I'll entertain a motion to approve the appropriation memo.
So moved.
Second. Roll call, please.
Paula Allred? Yes. Kendall Stuckey?
Yes.
Keith Williams?
Yes.
Jerry Foley?
Yes.
Linda Shimko?
Yes.
Eric Shine?
Yes.
Darren Brock?
Yes.
Marty Latham?
Yes.
This will be appropriations memo number 03-2009.
Next item on the agenda is a memo to allocate funds to the administration budget to pay the invoices billed in 2009 for the completion of new city hall, to purchase a generator, and to build a back patio.
Mr. Mayor, do you have a list of, I guess, 161,000? Do you have a list of what those items were that were being billed for?
Mary has it. She has it.
Just a minute, I had it figured out here. It was, we owed the contractors, and we had to pay for the sound system into '09. So together, those items, the contractors hadn't billed us all out yet in time for us to pay.
Okay.
We still, in fact, according to my records on the contract, we still owe $50,000. I called them and asked them for a bill on that. But we have already paid for the sound system and part of what we owed the contractors. But we couldn't get invoiced in December, so we couldn't pay till the next year.
So is that the sound system for the council chamber? Or the,
Yeah, the one that you guys voted on.
Okay, so the TVs and all that, that's part of this appropriate?
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay.
Is this stuff that we had already approved of?
Yeah, it's stuff that was already approved, Eric. It was,
Okay.
but it's just that the reason why there was so much brought forward at the beginning of the new year was because these bills couldn't get paid in '08. So we still had the money in the budget, in the checking account to pay them, But we just didn't bring it forward into '09 because we were hoping to get the bills in '08.
So the appropriation that we did in '08 didn't carry forward, I guess, is that what you're saying?
Yeah, we have to reappropriate.
Okay, all right,
Yeah.
makes sense.
So this is really a reappropriation.
Yeah, it's just taking money that we couldn't get spent last year and bring it forward in '09. That's all it is, 'cause
We still have a budget overall, Mary.
it was on the budget for '08, but it's not on the '09. I'm wanting to add it on to the budget for '09 so we can finish paying for it.
Mary, is this pretty much the end of it from the billing, or do we know yet?
That's what I'm hoping for, and I have added on, the funds for a generator, which Michael tells me it's a possibility we might get a grant from state for that. But just in case, I mean, he's working on with our state representative to get that as a grant. But just in case, I'm asking for the 30,000, and then the 6,000 for that patio out and back. I'm adding that into that total amount of 197,432.
Can I ask a question about the generator? Who's requesting the generator, I guess?
Well, I think that after we moved in here, realized that if the lights all went out, there wouldn't be a whole lot anybody could do. Then the lights all did go out when we had the ice storm, and so we didn't have a generator. The police department, fire department do have generators.
I guess my question is, I know hindsight's 20/20, but we're probably paying 25% more to add it after the fact. And we should have had an initial bid.
And that might be, I don't know. I'm
Gonna have
just
to- saying,
we haven't gone out for bids or anything on this yet.
And that was my next question. Where do we come up with 30,000?
Yeah, it's an estimate
Based off KW size?
Yes.
based off
Gonna be
probably,
diesel, natural gas? Have we
I don't
gone
know.
far into this thing?
Yes.
I don't know what kind of generator.
I think Sean's talked to a couple of suppliers. They've checked the system as to what size it would take. Another thing, when we hit that storm, knocked these electricity off, we had no telephone service in this building. You could not communicate in or out. And we talked about this a little bit before we built the building, I think, or finished it, and decided not to put it in the initial cost, that we could get it put in later at no additional cost, because the contractor that we had building the building takes everything at cost at 9%. We can deal direct with the contractors and save that 9%. I don't think it will cost us any more.
The issue I see with it is getting the conduit, the feeders into your main electrical room. Did he stub out of the slab anywhere? Because now we're gonna have to go up and overhead.
Don can answer that question. I think there's been proper preparation for this.
Okay, well, that's the things I wasn't involved with at all, so.
Initially, we had planned on a generator. In trying to reduce the cost, it was decided that we could do that at a later date. Another factor that played into that was the IT person we had at the time convinced me that we didn't need that he could do everything back up on UPS. Well, that doesn't take into account a 3-day, 4-day power outage. And yes, the building is prepared for a generator. We have 2 3.5-inch conduits, spare conduits coming in. We had the pad poured when the building was built for a generator. We have a natural gas tap right there at the pad, so it's set up for, we just don't have a generator.
Wire and generator, okay. Well, that makes much more sense to me now, knowing that, because.
Any other questions?
When is the construction going to begin on this generator and patio?
Well, we've got to go out for bids on the generator. We've made arrangements. We haven't signed any contracts yet to build the patio. and the cover.
You already have a selected contractor to do that work, the patio?
We do, pardon me?
We already have a contractor selected to do the patio?
Yes. The same one that did
Did the
the
building?
Concord Street sidewalks.
What, I mean, are you screening this in? Is it just gonna be like a
No,
trellis?
it'll
or-
have a metal roof over it with built-in gutters and downspouts.
Is it a metal structure or is it gonna
Yes,
be wood? Is it
metal.
Metal all the way?
It's not gonna be enclosed?
No,
What's gonna keep the furniture from walking off?
that's a problem we have everywhere, Marty. We've talked about putting a fence across the back and I guess nothing, you know, other than the honor system.
A metal roof and a slab is gonna cost $6,000?
It won't cost that much. We've found out, we've delved into it farther. It won't cost quite 6,000. No. The roof costs about 2,000,
How big is it gonna be?
14 by 20.
Is it for sunny days for folks to go outside and eat, or what's
It's for take
smokers,
breaks,
or what is it?
eat lunch out there. We've got a barbecuer that Aaron Burks gave this city in 2006, was it? 3?
Well, I don't have a problem. I think it's great for the employees of the city to have a place to go and hang out. For me, once again, when I look at this is something that should have been in the original bid when I look at this. Everything you do extra to a building, in my mind, because that's the business I'm in, it just costs more money when you boil it down to it. But I understand we tried to cut budgets on that, and I wasn't involved with the original building of this building. That's my only comment, I think.
Any other comments?
On the generator, that is gonna be, it's gonna have a muffler on it, right? It's not gonna be just it is gonna have a muffler on the generator.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, because you can actually get them without it. I just wanna make sure.
Yeah, I mean, I think a lot of that comes down to the enclosure it's in, it's housed in.
Just
But
wanna make sure that's you, because you don't want it out there running real loud if you've got neighbors over here. Just a courtesy thing. I'm just assuming.
You're right.
I guess it would scare off people stealing the furniture.
There you go.
Yeah, so,
What is that gonna look like? Is it gonna be cosmetic? Because you can see very clearly the back of this building from the park.
It'll be white.
Cosmetically pleasing,
Yes, it'll be white and metal building.
Is
aesthetically pleasing, what's the word I'm looking for? It's a better word.
That's always in the eyes of the beholder.
it's just gonna look like a big rectangle. That's the reality of it. I mean,
It's not gonna look like a lean-to.
Not unless you crown it or some type of argument, tie it, unless you build a screen wall, which I don't think you wanna do that. I'm just, so is Sean the one that's approaching all the vendors? And you're gonna try to go to, are you gonna use the same electrical contractor that did this building to install this? Or are you gonna use
Install what?
this generator?
No.
So you're gonna bid all that out to,
We have talked to the electrician that did the work on this building. We will not use
I
it.
guess where I'm going, are you hiring any MEP services to do any design drawings, documentation specs? Because the generators can be very complex. Depending on, are we doing jacket heaters, obviously we're doing natural gas. There's a lot involved with the generator. People think I can just go get a generator, and it doesn't work that way. Hundreds of thousands of dollars are spent on generators, which 30 didn't seem really bad. Are we just doing a portion of the building? Are we trying to back up the whole building? Those are the kind of questions I would start asking when I see generator thrown out there.
We will go out for bids. We'll write the specs for the generator, go out for bids. We're gonna get 2 bids. One bid turnkey, another bid for the equipment, and a separate bid for the installation.
And the city, we're gonna write the specs, Don will write the specs?
Yeah,
or
Don and
Sean?
yeah.
Okay.
Most generators are manufactured to certain specs to start with. you don't have a lot of options on generators. You've got
Not
the
necessarily
size
true.
and.
That's not true at all. I used to think that until I had to do a couple of designs. Depends on enclosure, depends on a lot of things. You can build a Cadillac or you can get the slim down model. Also depends on how many KW if we're doing the full building or whatever, but I think we're off track now. So you've given me enough information to know.
Can I ask a question?
Yes.
Will this also allow the city hall then to become an emergency shelter in the storm the next time she goes?
Well, we've talked about that, but we haven't crossed that bridge yet. This is really the only room that we would have.
I've got the mayor's office.
That generator's what they're gonna do.
Pardon?
I hear a generator, let's go over there.
I think, Mayor, you hit on earlier.
That's exactly what's gonna happen, so that's why I'm sitting here saying, you do realize if you're the only place with power and lights, guess where people are gonna wanna come to for heat?
So have the P&G over the storm.
Yeah.
P&G filled up with people because P&G had 3 of them.
Well, we've got the fire station in here. And there's a little room in the police, not much. They get the courtroom they can set in.
Small cell.
Huh?
Have a small cell.
Yeah. It's a cage.
Right down here.
I think, Mr. Mayor, you hit it earlier. I mean, the city needs to have a telephone line in emergency situations. If we have to be here 24 hours answering the citizens' call, so in my mind, I would support it, assuming we know what we're getting for $30,000. Because I guess where I'm skating around is, are we sold on that number? I could see you coming back to us saying we need $55,000. I don't know. I'm just assuming a lot of things. That's why I was trying to feel it out a little bit, but it sounds like we don't really know yet. We're kind of fishing a little bit.
I understand it's been felt out. That
Okay.
number will suffice.
Well, I have faith in those they're looking to, I guess. Have a choice.
Any other questions? I'll entertain a motion to approve the appropriations.
So moved.
Second.
Roll call, please.
Jerry Foley,
Yes.
Darren Brock,
Yes.
Paula Allred,
Yes.
Keith Williams,
Yes.
Eric Shine,
Yes.
Marty Latham,
Yes.
Kendall Stuckey,
Yes.
Linda Shimko.
Yes.
This will be appropriations memo number 04-2009.
Next item on the agenda is design contract with Crafton Tull Sparks Engineers for the 264 Business Park Sewer Line. This contract is for the design, complete through the construction and inspection. It's for a total of $30,000. The estimated cost of the sewer line is $250,000. It's amounts to about 10% for the design and 5% for the construction inspection. It's felt that we needed to use the same engineers on this line. It does go over the Puppy Creek recharge area where the blind fish are, and we've been cautioned by Springdale that that line must be waterproof totally, because if it leaks into the recharge area, why, we're probably in trouble. So, and Crafton Tull is well aware of that.
I would hope all of our lines are watertight.
Well, we hope so. Yeah. We hope so, but I think there'll be extra precaution on this, Keith.
So, you're asking if you can go, I don't know, there's nothing in our packet.
No, it's just a standard design contract. You know, if you want to wait, I'll send you the copies of it.
How much it gonna be?
Huh?
How much is it gonna be?
30,000.
30,000.
Yeah.
This is in the 2009 budget. It's been budgeted under Industrial Park 264 sewer line.
It's
In,
already budgeted.
it's on your
So
Lowell Utilities budget,
So that's for the engineering costs?
back in the miscellaneous.
total cost, so really it's coming before you for Mary's auditor's purposes. But the money's already been approved, but to sign the contract. Well, I wanted council approval to sign the design contract.
Have we ever done this without having the contract in front of us?
I don't think we typically get approval to sign contracts. I think that it's always confusion as to what you do with a contract like this. You can't bid this contract. It's illegal to bid it out. It's illegal to bid it out. The engineers have made sure of that. They're not going to go through the bid process like everybody else. So you can't bid out professional services in Arkansas. So the mayor's, asked me before, what do we do? And I've always said, I think it's best to make sure the council's aware of what contracts you're signing. But you are the sole agent to sign contracts, you or whoever you designate. So in the cities in Arkansas, the mayor executes contracts. So if it were something that were bid, you'd know all about it, because you would have known about the bids and it would have come through. But as far as spending this money, what you're interested is do we have this in the budget? That's the question the council really wants to make sure they know. And then you trust the mayor and the mayor's staff to make sure they're getting a good contract. And I think typically what I think we've done is he sort of made you all aware of it. Now we're asking for a vote. I'm not quite sure why. But
Are we voting tonight on this? If we've already put this in the budget, I don't really think we need to
Here's where
vote
the
on it.
problem comes in, Keith. Once I sign this contract and the auditors ask, where is the authority to sign this contract? We don't have it.
I would say it's when we gave you money in the budget, I would assume.
Well, I don't think it works that way. Mary, I realize we're being overly cautious.
It seems redundant,
Pardon?
It just seems redundant to say, here, you can have $30,000 to do this, and then when you go to do that, say, can I spend the $30,000 you gave
You've
me?
already given us the $30,000 to do it.
Right.
It's I guess a courtesy of your concurrence or approval to sign the contract. That's all it amounts to. That way the auditors have no items to bring up that, well, you
Makes
didn't
Mary's
get
and my
council
life
approval
easier.
to sign the contract.
And I've said before, many, many times when Mary was up here, that if the auditors tell us to do it, we ought to go ahead and do it, even if they're wrong. But we ought to go ahead and do it if that's what they want, because it makes it easier to go through the audit.
Tom, did I understand you right? You said that engineering services cannot be bid out?
No, sir, not in cities. Engineering
No,
services are called
you can't do
professional
that.
services, and you may not bid them.
You can seek,
It says shall not bid. It's
Really?
called requests for
That's-
qualifications. And you can ask engineers to send qualifications. There are several that have qualifications on file at Lowell right now. So when a job comes open, they're contacted and they make sure their qualifications are up to date, and then they basically negotiate for the contract.
That's a city thing, not a state, Rand, right?
That's correct. It's
State,
municipalities in
okay.
Arkansas.
Okay.
Yeah, but we advertise for engineering companies to submit their statement of qualifications every year.
Okay.
But you can't, they won't bid. They don't play that game. They'll tell you how much they're gonna charge an hour.
I find it odd that it's handled that way, just because the real world isn't treated like that. They bid. They have to give an estimate to architect or whoever they're teamed up with. That's interesting.
The auditor does like to see a council approval for every contract that we signed,
Over $20,000.
if it's over $20,000.
Mr. Mayor, I'd like to move that we approve the appropriation of funds.
It's not an appropriation of
Approve
funds.
the contract.
It's approving signing
Oh,
the
okay.
contract.
Then I'd like to move that we approve the contract.
I'll second that.
Roll call, please.
Keith Williams.
Yes.
Kendall Stuckey.
Yes.
Paula Allred. Jerry Foley.
Yes.
Darren Brock.
Yes.
Eric Schein.
Yes.
Linda Shimko.
Yes.
Marty Latham.
Yes.
Next item is committee or workshop reports.
We've had no workshops.
We have none. The museum committee will meet the second Tuesday of next month, 6 p.m. at the museum. Any council members have any items they want to bring up or discuss? If not, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor say aye.
Aye.